Here on the Business Brain Podcast, we'll improve the thinking skills that are getting in your way of doing what you want to do so you can work smarter, move faster, and grow your business with ease. Rachel came to work with me on everything: overwhelm, anxiety, procrastination, decision-making, communication, the whole shebang. Like every client who joins us in our 90-day program, Optimize Your ADHD Brain, the first thing we did was a roadmap call. It's where we dig deep in your brain to figure out what's really happening and build out a clear, customized plan for the work that we're going to do together. That call changed everything. Suddenly, it wasn't just a big pile of problems. It was a clear plan that made sense. So even though his problems didn't magically disappear, it made a whole lot easier to approach them. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you, you do not have to struggle forever. And in this episode 510 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, procrastination, overthinking, distractions. You've tried all the hacks and tools, but nothing works for your ADHD brain. That's because those solutions were created for those who created them. We need solutions for your brain and not band-aid solutions. Solutions that solve the root problem. Learn more how we can optimize your ADHD brain at lifepeaksuniversity.com/OYB. There are three phases of thinking: how we take in the information, elaboration, how we process the information, and output, how we tell the world the information. If you don't have good information in, you're not going to be able to process the information well. If you can't process the information well, you're not going to be able to tell the world the information well. So with every challenge that you have, you want to make sure that you're first taking in good information, then you're processing the information, and then we can make sure you're telling the world the information well. Got that? Good. If you've been here for a minute, you've heard about the 28 thinking skills or the 28 cognitive functions. It's the same thing, just different names. For those of you who are new here, welcome. Or if you need a quick reminder, thinking is not one big thing. Thinking is made up of 28 parts, 28 thinking skills. With 28 thinking skills, naturally, you'll have some thinking skills that are stronger and some that are weaker. If you want to see how strong each of your thinking skills are, you could take the assessment at lifepeaksuniversity.com/CF. All clear so far? Great. Now, remember the three phases of thinking I told you about earlier: input, elaboration, output? Well, the 28 thinking skills are split into those three phases. Taking the assessment, look at the results email you got. The first 8 thinking skills on that assessment is part of input. The next 12 thinking skills on that assessment is elaboration. And the last 8 thinking skills are part of output. I'm going to repeat that. The first 8 thinking skills are part of input. The next 12 are part of elaboration. And the last 8 are part of output. So with this information in mind, we start by improving our first 8 thinking skills that are part of the input phase. Because remember, if your input isn't good, you're not going to have good elaboration or output. Back to Andrew, out of the first 8 thinking skills, he had 3 that needed help: clear perception, understanding time, and holding 2 or more pieces of information at once. Once those first 8 thinking skills are at a 3 or stronger, you can then move on to the next 12 in the elaboration phase. Do you have to be perfect before moving on? No, you're never perfect. You need the thinking skills to be good enough so you can use them well. But remember, you can always improve them even more if you want to see improvement in a specific area of your life. One question people always ask me is if they can jump to a thinking skill in the elaboration or output phase, even if they have some thinking skills in the input phase that are we? So first of all, there are no rules. Every person in every situation is different. Many times it's not impossible to improve the thinking skills that are in the head stages, just harder. You need to look at the whole picture to make a good decision and decide, is it worth it for me to put in more work in a thinking skill that's in a later phase, or does it make more sense for me to first work on the input phase and then move on to the elaboration and then finally the output phase? Your challenge this week is to take the thinking skills assessment at lifepeaksuniversity.com/CF. Then you'll want to identify what you need to work on. Look at the first 8 thinking skills. If any of them are less than a 3, you know what you need to work on. If they're all 3 or more, then you can go into the elaboration phase and look at the next 12 thinking skills. And once all those are at a 3 or more, you can move on to the last 8 in the output phase. If you need help figuring out ways to improve the thinking skills, send me an email and I'll be happy to help you. You'll have my email after taking the assessment, so I'm looking forward to seeing you in my inbox. That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, send it to a friend who secretly wants stronger thinking skills too, so together you can grow your businesses with peak brain performance.